What makes hard conversations so hard? So I'm really asking you that question. What makes a hard conversation hard for you? So tell me in the comments. I'm Jen Whitmer, and I help teams and leaders solve conflict and personality clashes so you can do connected and powerful work together and feel good at the same time. So, today I want to talk about 3 reasons why hard conversations are worth it. And if you are catching the replay, I'd love to let me know in the comments. If you are here live, let me know in the comments and ask your questions. So, when I'm talking about hard conversations, we all have a different scale of what makes a conversation hard. But as we head into the last 2 months of the year, there are just a lot of conversations that are universally challenging. So we're heading into a season of performance reviews. We're heading into a season of bonus decisions. We're heading into a season where we've got to finish the last quarter of the year. For many people, that's the fiscal. For many people, it's the first quarter, and the first quarter showing means everything for the next year. And there's all kinds of projects and conversations that have to happen around that. And there's home. We've got Thanksgiving and holidays coming up. We all have that crazy cousin. We all have that person that we just know is going to be a challenge. And I'm not even talking about politics at all, although that is part of it. Those conversations with family and friends who may disagree with you or may have lots of opinions about your life always evoke these angsty feelings within us, and we don't always know what to do with them. Well, I wanted to share 3 reasons why those types of conversations are actually worth having. What does that mean, and why do we do it? So the first big reason is that a hard conversation usually involves boundaries. Boundaries are vital to healthy relationships at home, at work, with your friends, with your family, with people, with your neighborhood. Boundaries are vital to healthy relationships. And oftentimes, boundary conversations are challenging for a couple of reasons. One is sometimes the boundary has been violated already. And so now you're trying to come back and set the boundary again. Or maybe you didn't actually set the boundary to begin with, and now you're needing to say it out loud. So there's that. The other reason is we all want people to respect our boundaries, but we don't always think about respecting other people's boundaries. So there's that tension right there. And so hard conversations are really so important to setting the boundaries. You can't expect a boundary just to be done. So when you sell a house, what's the thing that you do? You have somebody come out and mark the yard. That tells us where the boundaries are. We don't just automatically know all the time where the edges are. And so a hard conversation lets us say, here's where the boundaries are. And boundaries are spoken, they are reasonable, and they are said out loud so people know here's what the expectation is. So that's the first reason why hard conversations are worth it. The second reason is clarity. Clarity says, here is really where it is. Back to that idea about the house and people coming and saying the yard. Like, this is clear. This line right here, this is where I end and this is where you begin. But it's even more than boundaries. Hard conversations are worth it because they create clarity about vision. They create clarity about mission. They create clarity about tactics. They create clarity about process. The hard conversations let us know where we're going. Like, what is the goal at the end of this, and creating clarity around that. Patrick Lencioni is an organizational psychologist. He's written tons of books. But one of them, in his book called The Advantage, he talks about these 4 stages. And the last 3 stages are all about creating clarity. So hard conversations are worth it because the clarity says, here's where we're going together. And the reason that can be challenging sometimes is because what if people disagree? What if I don't know how to say it? What if all those things that come into our mind around creating clarity? can get in our way. And so making sure that we are clear in our own mind first and then explaining to other people is the power that you have in that hard conversation. So speaking of power, the last reason that a hard conversation is worth it, because if you're not willing to have the hard conversation, you are giving away your power. Oh, Tiffany, I love Patrick's work too. When you aren't willing to say, here's what I want, here's my boundary, here's what we're going for, you're giving away the power to somebody else. If you avoid it, you have no influence in making it better. If you aren't willing to get up and say, here's what is important to me. Here is the way I want this to go. Here is what my request is. It doesn't even have to be a demand. But if you're not willing to say, here is A, then you're never going to get A, and you've given your power to somebody else. That is why I think the most inspiring and important reason why hard conversations are worth it. If you're not willing to say with your out loud voice, here are the important things to me, you've just acquiesced and given your power to somebody else to rule and run and manage your life. Rather than saying, I'm in charge of me. I'm 100% responsible for me, and I have the agency to say, here is what I want. Here's the boundary I'd like for you to honor. Here is the raise that I'm requesting. Here's why I think this is an important project for us. All of those things are ways for you to exercise your agency and power. And if you're not willing to have the hard conversation, then you just give it up. And I don't want that for you. So these are the big reasons why I think hard conversations are so worth it. And I get it. I know they're scary. Just last night at the dinner table, we were talking and there was a little bit of a heated thing going on, and I had something I wanted to insert and I had to go, ooh, is this worth it? Is this important enough for me? And I had to think about, yeah, because the clarity was going to be helping us get there. And so it was worth it to a little bit of discomfort to say, here's what's important to me and why I think it's important to us. We don't want to give away our power. We absolutely need healthy boundaries for healthy relationships. And clarity, as Brene Brown says, clear is kind. It makes all of that together. Why hard conversations are so worth it. So I am doing something for you next week that is really exciting about hard conversations, but really even bigger than that, just communication in general. Because what I often get questions about is, I think I know what I want to say, but I just don't feel confident about it. Or I don't want people to think that I am just going to run over them. Or I don't know how to get people to listen to me. And all of these things come up. And what that has to do with is feeling like a confident communicator. And so next week, I have a challenge for you, and it's 3 days of free training called Become a Confident Communicator. So there are 3 30-minute trainings. You can sign up at the description, wherever that is. I'll also put a link in the comments, but it's at jenwhitmer.com, Communicator Challenge. And we're going to spend 3 days talking about why hard conversations are so important, even more than what I talked about today, but really what it costs us when we don't. The 5 must-haves that we need for clear communication. How do we get that? So these 5 must-haves that stop miscommunication before it starts. And then the 3rd day is about what happens when miscommunication does happen. Because I mean, as much of an idealist as I am, we're all imperfect humans and miscommunication happens. So what do we do when it does? And so if you want to sign up for that, is a free challenge. You can click the link in the description. I really hope to see you there. Make sure that you register because there's some extra goodies that will come your way. I want to know, if you have gotten all the way to the end today, what is the thing that you want to try? Do you want to try to make it clear? Do you want to try to set the boundary? Do you want to try to regain your power? Which one of these says, that's the reason for me that makes the hard conversation that you were thinking about the entire time I was talking? What's going to make that hard conversation worth it for you? I would love to know. And if it's too much, I understand LinkedIn is a bit of a professional space and you don't want to share that out loud. Feel free to DM me. I would love to hear what's the thing that's going to make that hard conversation worth it to you. Tiffany, thanks for being here. Other people who showed up live, I'm so glad that you were here this morning. Go out and be a fantastic person today. Bye.